Hi, everybody. Well, we are in week 5 and we are moving full steam ahead into this design thinking process. I hope you're having a good time and enjoying this because I'm really loving learning about you and the people you care about. Enjoying learning about the problems that these people are experiencing and how you are able to come up with ways to solve those problems. So at this point, going into week 5, you have a quote unquote customer. You have someone you're working with, you've done an interview, you've identified a problem, you brainstormed a bunch of possible solutions with them, narrowed it down, and did a storyboard to explain that solution. Now, in week 5, you're going to take that solution and you're going to prototype it and you're going to test it with that original person that you interviewed. Let me show you exactly what you'll be doing. In our 3-step design thinking process, we've covered deep customer empathy, go broad to go narrow, and now we're into rapid experiments with our customers. So why do we do rapid experiments and prototyping? First, we want to avoid making products or services that customers don't want. The example here is Oreos and funky flavor combinations. We want to test that flavor before we go through the process of actually producing it, marketing it, and putting it out into the market. We have to make sure people want what we're about to make. We want to avoid building something that's expensive until you test the design first. For example, the smartphones that we all have, they evolved from something called a BlackBerry. And the first person creating Blackberries and Palm Pilots started prototyping them in a couple different ways. First, they took a small block of wood just to be able to see if people would carry something around with them. They made it about the size of the original Palm Pilot, made sure it fit in breast pockets of gentlemen wearing dress shirts, made sure that women would put it in a purse or find a place to store it to keep it on them, pockets as well. Then they also prototyped by drawing possible screens and what would show up on each screen. This happened long before we even thought about the actual technology behind it. First, we're making these low cost, easy prototypes with paper and pencil and a block of wood to test the overall concept. Rapid experiments like this are the cheapest way to fail and to improve. If you learned the size was too big, it wouldn't fit in a pocket, then you can scale it down, for example. You've got big ideas. I loved hearing about your ideas from last week. Now we're going to test small parts of those ideas. Some things you can do as you're prototyping your concept. Maybe it's visual. What pattern do you like most? What color? What styles? If you're solving a personal issue, an emotional issue for your customer, you can verbally describe and maybe draw out what this solution looks like and ask them, how does it feel? Do you think that this would help you? If it's something that goes in a room, you can come up with little diagrams to see if spacing, if everything fits. And you can test some general basic mechanics just to see if ideas are feasible. The principles of effective prototyping, for the sake of our class in this stage in the design thinking, are what you see here. First, they're rapid. You're building quick prototypes. You want to spend about a half an hour, no more than an hour, making a prototype. They should be rough. So the term that we're going to use is called low fidelity. It means it doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to be something you can put in front of a customer to get their feedback. Just give them enough of an idea of what this is all about to get feedback to start making changes and improvements. In terms of right, we're not looking to get this right the first time. What we are trying to get right is the right questions to ask so we can get at the heart of solutions for our customers. We're building to think, building to learn, and building to share. I can't emphasize this enough. Your first draft prototype won't be the right thing to solve the customer's issue. We want something quick, we want something to get feedback, and we expect to make changes and we expect to make revisions. So much easier to do this if we have something in front of us that we can look at and get feedback from. So when you're prototyping, think about these things. What are you uncertain about for your idea? How are you going to test it? What will success look like? What is it that you're looking for to know you're heading in the right direction? Everyone's prototype is going to look a little bit different. There are a lot of different tools that you can use. You can draw something out with stick figures similar to a storyboard. You can use post-it notes. You can collect random materials from around your house and build a physical item. If you're considering an app, there are tons of prototype templates that you can use for various screens on an app. So you can draw out what different screens would look like and put that in front of somebody. And you can also just simply draw your idea. Remember, it's low fidelity. This is not an art class. You're not graded on any artistic ability. We're just looking for something that can get in front of a customer. The most important thing here is their feedback. It's not putting a beautiful thing in the hands of your customer. The most important thing is getting good feedback. Remember, you're not trying to sell them on this idea. We need to not be emotionally invested in our prototypes because we know they're not going to be quite right. The important thing is to get the feedback. So don't defend your prototype. Don't sell your prototype to the customer. Just let them interact with it and make a lot of notes on their comments. And so as I just said, right, the goal is not to confirm this is a great idea. The goal is to get feedback. Every now and again, we're going to find out that our prototype and our solution is way off base. And that's why we do prototyping, and we do this early so we don't waste any time and money pushing forward an idea that isn't going to solve the problem. So if you put your prototype in the hands of your customer and they say, no, this isn't it, let me tell you why, consider that a success. So here's what you do. You introduce the prototype. You just say, I know you're having this problem. Here's a solution that I came up with for you. You can elaborate if needed. If they have questions, you can answer the questions, but you're not going to explain it too much. Just let them interact with the prototype, answer any questions they have, but again, you're not selling it, then you're not defending it. If the customer gives you some feedback that an aspect of the prototype isn't going to work, say thank you, and now you know what you need to change. So you're going to test your prototype with the same person you interviewed. You're going to find out what would you change, what features would you add, how are you going to make this better. So make sure you set up a time to meet with that person again. And you'll answer some questions like what surprised you? What did you learn? What are you going to do next? The whole point of prototyping is that it's not a one-time deal. You prototype and you make changes and you keep improving from there. So in summary, you've got chapter 4 for Ice House, and you also have your low fidelity prototype. You're going to create a prototype, test it through an interview process, and then answer a few questions in Blackboard. I also want you to go back and revise your prototype and submit a picture for me of that prototype and a typed summary of your interview. Let me show you what that's going to look like. In Blackboard, here are your instructions. So you'll make your prototype and you'll do your interview with the person that you already spoke with. And I've got this outlined for you pretty clearly in Blackboard. I want to see an image of your prototype, and I'd like to see you answer these questions. What surprised you based on your customers' feedback? What did you learn from them? What did you change about your prototype? What features can you add? How can you make it better? And then go ahead and make those changes, improve that prototype. And it's the updated prototype that I'd like to see. That's it. Good luck this week, and let me know how I can support you.